Welcome to True Crime with Strategic Eyes.
Strategic back again. Welcome, everybody. It's your Sheriff Strategic. We got a good show for you guys today, man. We're going to have a great time today, but we're also going to cover some really interesting topics today. So basically, I believe that Ashleigh Banfield has low-key responded to these allegations that she might get sued by Savannah Guthrie. Now, listen, I don't know if Savannah would actually have a good case against Ashleigh Banfield. At the end of the day, she's a journalist. She's covering what her sources says, all that good stuff. But as I said, when she first came out and said, hey, I've got information from my source of a gajillion years. I've known this guy since we were both in the womb. And he said that the numero uno, number one suspect is Tommaso, a.k.a. Mr. Tomato, as some of you guys like to call him. I was like, man, we shouldn't do that. This lady is still missing. This is a hot case. She's in extreme danger. This is not one of those cold cases, right? Where we probably know a person is gone and deceased at the time. At the time of that reporting, this was a case that was hot and active, and everybody and their mother wanted to bring home Nancy Guthrie. You don't give information out like that that's going to spook a bad guy. Make a bad guy start damaging and destroying evidence and covering up their tracks. So I didn't believe in it. I thought it was not really good journalism at the time. Now, I'm a big fan of Ashleigh Banfield, so I say these things with love, right? People critique me all the time. Listen, it's my whole life on YouTube. Why you look like that? Why your breath smell like, how you smell my breath over the internet? Like, geez, people just critique me like crazy, okay? It is what it is, all right? So I say it with love, right? The other thing I didn't like is we started going after Sheriff Thanos, a.k.a. Nanos. Why? That's why I look like Sheriff Nanos, a.k.a. Thanos right now. We went after him because he mishandled the crime scene. All we did was call out the fact that this man bungled this case from day one. Well, those are the two major things I didn't like. I didn't like all of the leaks and all the information that was coming out of Banfield's camp. Much respect to her. Listen, that's a stalwart of true crime. She's been doing it for a long time. She's an OG. We love her. We respect her. But as a law enforcement officer, I got to hold two hats. I got to hold the entertainment hat that I have here when I'm on YouTube, entertaining you guys and educating you guys, but I also have to hold the hat as an active duty detective. And I got to say, how would I feel if I'm working this case and I've got a Banfield reporting the things that she was reporting? I'd be pretty pissed, all right? I ask myself, are you working for me? Are you working for the people? Or are you working for the bad guys? I would ask that question, to be honest with you. No disrespect, okay? So anyway, we got a lot for you guys today. It looks like she's going to respond to it. She's going to kind of address it. So let's see what she has to say, man. But like I said, when this case is over, I'm back to a Banfield fan. And I don't want Banfield to be sued by anyone. I think it's bad. It's not good. This is America. She's exercising her freedom of speech, you know, and she's trying to entertain her constituents or, you know, her viewers, and she's being a journalist. And sometimes journalists report things that people in law enforcement like myself and others and families and victims don't want to hear. It is what it is. That's America. That's what makes this country great. So I do not, under any circumstances, support any type of lawsuit against Ashleigh Banfield, but I do understand where law enforcement is coming from, and I do understand where Savannah Guthrie is coming from. Think about it, guys. Your mother is gone, and your sister and her husband, who you consider a brother most likely, is being accused of being numero uno suspects, man. I mean, wouldn't that hurt you if you were in the Savannah Guthrie's position? Anyway, let's keep going. Let's get these updates in, because I got to go to work, and work has been crazy this week. Let's do it.
This morning, investigators are analyzing additional images that law enforcement sources told ABC News the FBI recovered from cameras at Nancy Guthrie's home. The sources said the images were recovered in recent weeks from motion-activated cameras trained on her swimming pool, backyard, and side yard. Those are different views than the camera showing the armed man in a mask on her doorstep the night she vanished. Investigators were unable to recover video from the additional cameras, but still images captured when the cameras were triggered by motion. The sources said the cameras caught several people in the yard during an unspecified period prior.
Several people in the yard. Listen, a lot of stuff I purposely, when I didn't have a research crew, I did all this myself. And so if you look at my shows, before we got a really good research crew, before Aki finally decided she wanted to work her butt off and stop lollygagging on the show, I'm just joking. Aki was always working hard for the show. I'm just teasing. Let me not put out misinformation. Aki is a hard worker for the show, and we love her. I jest, but sometimes don't jest. Give her her flowers. I did this all myself, and so I would watch this. I know what I'm talking about. Now that we have a research crew, I purposely want a lot of the times, not all of the times, but a lot of times I want to react to this raw. So I did not see this. If I seen this, I would have said, screw the Banfield stuff. We would have led with this because this is huge. This is huge news. There were several people inside of the yard. This is not a one-man show. This was a team of people. This was a cabal. This was a cartel. This was a gang. This was a coordinated abduction. This wasn't some on-the-fly dude just went inside of the, knocking on every door, checking every door, and he found the old lady and decided to take her away. This is huge. Let's keep going.
Prior to the abduction and police officers after the abduction, but nothing from the night Nancy Guthrie was taken.
Oh, okay. No. Let's walk it back a little bit. See, this is what happens when you're reacting raw. So they said several people in the yard, but they said prior to the abduction, but nothing on the night. It still might be very probative because maybe these people were kind of like casing it. They need to figure out who all these folks were prior to the abduction. And then, of course, we don't care about the police officer situation, even though it's very relevant. I'm going to tell you why the police officers is relevant. I'm going to tell you why in a second. But then nothing on the night. But let me tell you why it's relevant. Why we see police officers on this video. Why is it relevant for the news to say this, ladies and gentlemen? I'll tell you why it's relevant right now. Because this means that they did not take the cameras. We know this, but this is an example of why we have such little footage, because they didn't take the cameras, especially this camera in the yard, this camera that was found on the back of the house. This camera continued to record, which means that it was writing over information from the night of the abduction because they forgot that camera. That camera stayed up on the roof in plain sight, continuing to do its job and record. And therefore, by the time the FBI decided, hey, oh, shoot, they forgot that camera up there, and now they're trying to extract the video footage that could possibly be on this camera, it was already recorded over probably dozens and dozens and dozens of times because it just stayed up there under solar power, doing its job, recording the crime scene as the police walked in and out, did their job, recording, the pool guy, recording the gardener, recording all of that stuff. Instead of having been disconnected immediately and sent to the lab on the day of the incident to hopefully get and extract video footage to show us who these people were and exactly what they did to Nancy Guthrie. Let's keep going.
After the abduction, but nothing from the night Nancy Guthrie was taken.
Then you might be able to go back and fill in who potentially could have been around Nancy's house. It's pretty time-taking work, but again, it is leads or procedures, techniques like that sometimes can get you to the bad guy.
The Pima County Sheriff's Department said it continues to analyze various forms of evidence in the Nancy Guthrie case, including material from laboratories as well as images and videos captured by cameras.
Right. Guys, do me a favor. Please hit that like button. Hit the like button, support the channel so we can get into the algorithm. We have over 400 people watching this live stream right now. We only been living for 9 minutes. That's a lot of people. We're very humbled, and we appreciate you guys coming to share your time with us over here on True Crime with Strategic. But please do hit the like button so we can get in the algorithm. We can draw in another audience. And lastly, one last thing. Sorry to stop the show. If you haven't subscribed to our show, please subscribe to my show, ladies and gentlemen. Sheriff Strategic of Pima County, all right? Pima County Sheriff Strategic. Subscribe to the show so we can get into that algorithm. We can get a whole bigger audience. Let's keep going.
It's unclear whether the recently recovered images will prove helpful, but investigators are trying to retrieve everything they possibly can from those cameras. At the same time, a Florida lab is trying to untangle a mixed DNA sample found inside Nancy Guthrie's home.
Sheriff's Department, can you please hold?
Is this in regards to the Nancy Guthrie case?
And investigators are still interested in public tips, hoping the family's $1 million reward will convince someone with information to step forward.
We need her to come home. For that reason, we are offering a family reward of up to $1 million.
$1 million. That's a lot of money, man. That's a lot. Right now, I think it's like over 2 million with all the different donations and people who are putting up money. That's a lot of money for somebody to say, hey, let me tell you where this lady is at, if they know. I don't know. Big shout out to Miss Moma, or Mama 3. She said, just subscribe, first time here. Welcome to True Crime Strategic, Miss Mama. Let's keep going.
The sheriff of Pima County has said he believes Nancy Guthrie was the victim of a targeted kidnapping, but George, investigators have released no motive and they have identified no suspect.
I mean, it looks like it's targeted to me. I want to know what information they have, when the opportune time it is for them to release it. But definitely very, very sad. We keep going. Some people said that, I think, well, we're going to talk about the fact that the family members passed a polygraph. I think somebody in the chat was like, polygraph is not enough. They need DNA. I mean, listen, nobody can say that you're wrong to feel that way. But I'm going to be honest with you. Polygraphs are not admissible in court because defense attorneys have broken them down on the fringes. So there are some people on the fringe of humanity who are such pathological liars that they're able to pass polygraphs. Like, they truly believe what they're saying. And of course, there's mentally ill people, schizophrenics, etc. They truly believe that they saw the demon, inside of their closet, right? So those people can pass polygraphs, even when they're either lying or what they believe happened did not happen. But by and large, law enforcement accepts polygraphs when they're taken with suspects. So if somebody says, hey, I'm taking a polygraph to prove that I didn't do it, and you have no evidence that they did it, and they pass the polygraph, you guys may not agree with it, but in the eyes of law enforcement, that person is most likely cleared. They really are. The police are going to go in a different direction. Now, listen, in every investigation, depending on what evidence you get, it could circle us right back. We could circle right back and make you a suspect again. But with that kind of fact pattern, no evidence to prove that you did anything, and you pass a polygraph, you're going to be very low on the totem pole to non-existent as far as it comes to law enforcement when they're looking for a suspect. And I just want to remind people, because Aki reminded you in the chat, and I think it's a good idea to sometimes let you know, because we have new people that join the show all the time. I'm an active duty detective. That's what I do for a living. I'm not retired. I'm not used to work as a detective. I am an active duty detective. That's what I do. That's what pays the bills. So we come here, we do this for fun. But when I come here, I'm giving you a perspective from somebody who's still in the ish. I'm still in the. All right. And when I leave here today, I'll be going to work to conduct special victims investigations, which is what I do for a living. All right, let's keep going. Let's get to the next exhibit. This is Brian Entin. Now, listen, the last exhibit is going to be the Savannah Guthrie video, where she's going to kind of low-key respond to this, and she's going to have a guest. Now, I haven't seen it, but my understanding is that the guest is going to be calling her out. The guest is going to be calling her out and basically saying the position that I've had, that she's giving out too much information. It looks like you're going to have a little spat with each other. So I want to see how that works out. But let's keep going. These are short exhibits, so we're going to get into this really, really soon, because I can't be here for 1,000 years. Definitely got to get into work. Let's keep going.
For checking out my show. Really, really appreciate it.
A big shout out to Brian Entin. I really like him. I like the work that he does. Yeah, he's out there. He's doing the damn thing. And we appreciate his contributions rather, to the true crime community. Let's keep going.
Appreciate all of your support and for subscribing to the channel. It is now day 37 in the search for Nancy Guthrie.
All right, so we're going to go to the 6-minute mark. Just gave him a little second to introduce himself. And now he's going to interview one of Nancy's neighbors. Let's see here.
11th.
Yes. So my birthday is January 8th. That's why I remember so well.
Okay.
Yeah.
And describe him again.
Well, he was in kind of street clothes, not shoes that you'd walk in, and he had a baseball hat really low, and he was kind of hunched over, and he was kind of looking around, and he just didn't fit. And he wasn't going terribly quickly like a normal person that's getting exercise. He was kind of going slowly, and when he walked...
See, now this is the Karen you need in your neighborhood. See, listen, when I was growing up in the hood, we didn't like Karens, but now I'm a property owner. I loves me some Karens, all right? You need at least one Karen on your block to keep things safe. This is the Karen on the block you need to keep things safe, ladies and gentlemen. She is Pima County Sheriff approved, ladies and gentlemen. She is on it. Now, is a high probability that this Karen right here may have seen the perpetrator. All right, let's let her keep going.
By this street, he really took a long look at it. I noticed that.
And it was enough for you to remember to tell your husband? Yeah.
Yeah. It freaked me out. And I'm not one of those people to be super freaked out by that. But I was like, that's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it like when the FBI came?
You know, they were young and just listening and asking a couple of questions and wanted to know if our Ring camera worked, and it didn't at that time, unfortunately. I don't know if it would have gotten any of the road because our house is so set back. So I don't know if we would have been much help, but just questions like that.
It's interesting, like no one's Ring cameras work in this neighborhood, it seems like.
Well, it's such a safe neighborhood.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like half the time we used to not lock our doors. We do now. Now we have cameras and things like that.
It's sad, man, when you have that kind of community. You know, my life is just like topsy-turvy. I went from living in public housing, you know, where there's drug dealers and gangsters. You know, I remember one of the most terrifying times of my life. I'm gonna tell this story, I'm probably getting in trouble. But my sister Young, I have my other sister, not the Aki inside the chat. Aki in the chat is insane. She wouldn't have done this. But like, cops was chasing after a bad guy that we all knew from the community. And my sister, not knowing, when he knocked on the door, open the door, let the dude in. You know, I was like, what the hell's wrong with you? You know, that's a danger. Turned out that guy later killed his girlfriend. And chopped her up and put her in a bin and tried to burn the bin in the Bronx. So like, I think back about that. I was like, well, you know, what if he would have did that to my sister? My sister just thinking like it's a neighborhood person that we know that was in danger and just wanted to give him some shelter, and she endangered her life. You know, that's where I grew up. That's the kind of environment I grew up in. To now, as an adult, working my butt off, getting my degree, going into law enforcement, being in law enforcement for almost 20 years now. Now I live in the suburbs. I'm not rich by any account. I'm a working class person. But I live in the suburbs in a very safe community where sometimes we do forget, we used to at least, to forget to lock our door. We used to. Now we have an electronic lock and it automatically locks. You got to put your eyeball in it for it to open, or your fingerprint. I got one of those locks, right? Oh, that's the pool people. Oh. Can't take that right now, but I called them back. You know, now, you know, that's the life I live in. So I could like relate to her, but it hits even harder for me because I know where I came from. I don't know her story, and you don't look at people and judge them just by how they look. This looks like a very astute and refined woman, but I don't know her story, but I know my story and I know where I came from. And to now be here, I would be mortified if something like this happened in my community. The community I worked so hard to afford to live in. The community that, you know, in the last 3 days, I've worked 16 hours of overtime. I've done doubles in the last 2 days. That's why I haven't been doing a show, because I've been doing doubles from 8 in the morning, pretty much 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, all the way till 2, 3 in the morning, because I got 2 crazy cases I'm working. In fact, right before coming on this live, I was fielding calls from district attorneys and the warrant squad and all these different people on my cases that I'm working right now that are super hot. You know, I work my butt off to be able to say that I live in a community that's safe. And for this to happen, it's almost traumatizing. And so I know I went on a diatribe, and I'm sorry about that, but I feel for this woman. I 100% feel for this woman and for everybody in that community, that this rodef, this intruder, came in and just disrupted their world, in addition to hurting the Guthrie family. Let's keep going.
But no, yeah, I've never even had a package stolen ever in 23 years. So
it really is one of those, because I heard some people say, oh yeah, it's like one of those places you wouldn't lock your doors, but you really didn't.
Yeah, we really didn't. Yeah, we really didn't. I mean, I had 3 teenagers wandering around here, and yeah, I'd come home and the back door would be wide open. I'm like, who's that? So yeah, never a problem, ever.
Maple's getting kind of anxious here.
Yeah.
Maple, she's so funny. Do you have any, you always walk her, so we all know her. Do you have any are people, do they feel like this is an inside job? Or, because there's a sense from some that this is someone maybe even like in the neighborhood.
actually at a dinner last night, there was a discussion about it. It's people that live in this neighborhood, and we're all just throwing things around. Like, some people are like, it's for sure a Savannah connection. Some people are like, that guy in the video seemed so lackadaisical that maybe it's a, robbery gone bad. I mean, yeah, I have my theories, but they change, because then when you start thinking about stuff, you're like, So I hope we find her and find out.
Are you surprised it's taken this long?
No, because I think someone brought to my attention that a lot of these cases take 30 plus days.
Yep.
So yeah, so I'm not surprised. I was not here the night she was taken, but I arrived home the next morning. And then when we found out she was missing, we all went out looking for her. So I thought we would find her, honestly.
Like it was just some kind of not that serious of a situation.
No,
Yeah.
like she had fallen or just something, yeah.
Were you just out of town that weekend, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was in Phoenix. I got home on Sunday morning from, my daughter Harper lives in Phoenix.
Okay.
So, yeah, sorry.
No, it's okay. That must have been, like, what were you thinking?
Yo, so big shout out to Locked Vegan. Locked Vegan, you need some steak, okay? I'm just saying. Just joking. She's like, I hate you now. Unsubscribe. He said steak. I'm just about you. $10 super chat from Lock Vegan. Thank you so much, Lock Vegan, for showing love. She said, you are hilarious. Karens have their place, I guess. Being in Arizona, I'm going to move to Tucson when you become sheriff. Prepare yourself for the heat. Hi, hardworking Aki. Thank you so much. We all going out to Tucson, guys. Like I told you guys, I need 3 houses. All right, you buy me 3 houses. 1 for me. I need a pool, okay? It's too hot out there. 1 for my mama and 1 for Aki, okay? You get us 3 houses, I'm going to come out there and run for sheriff of Pima County, all right? We're going to clean up them streets, okay? There'll be no bums allowed, all right? We're going to have signs everywhere, no bums allowed. Like, they're not bums, strategic, they're unhoused people, you damn it.
When you heard about
People hate the way I talk. When I crack jokes, people be so mad. I'm just cracking jokes, man. I don't call bums in real life. I call them the unfortunate. Let's keep going.
I was shocked. My elderly mother lives a street away, so I was like, oh my gosh, like this is terrifying, and poor Nancy. And yeah, so we just all kind of went out on foot. We all went driving around. I asked the sheriff a few questions, and he's like, yep, we already did that. I'm like, okay, good.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Your mom lives close?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my sister.
Okay. Are you... I just keep thinking about my mom throughout this whole thing. Like, I think a lot of people are connecting.
Yo, that dog loved Brian. Brian, that dog love you, bro.
Because a lot of people have older parents, and you just kind of worry. Maple, come on, Maple, come on.
That's a good dog, though.
I think a lot of people
That was hilarious.
think about their parents.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
of
And you,
course.
Nancy was 84, and some people are like, "Oh, why would an 84?"
All right, we're gonna stop this right here. It's very informative. It's nice to know what they had to say about the FBI and all that good stuff, and the fact that she saw a guy on her camera who basically looked like the guy who took looked suspicious at least, who was involved in the Nancy Guthrie disappearance. Definitely go over to Brian Entin's channel. Check him out. This one's a 28-minute video. We do appreciate Brian Entin for all the hard work that he's doing. So please do subscribe to his channel. And if you decide to go over there and subscribe to anybody's channel that we showcase on this channel, big or small, please do let them know that True Crime with Strategic is who sent you. All right? Just let them know, because why? It's not that I need them to know that I'm showing love to their channel, is that I'm using their material, and I want them to know that I'm being respectful of their content, and I'm showing them the proper love and the proper credit for their hard work. That's the only thing I ask for myself, and so I'm definitely going to make sure I give that to others. I never ask for anything I'm not willing to give to others. All right, let's keep going. Let's go to the next exhibit. This is Nancy Grace, one of our favorite channels out there. I love Nancy. Grew up watching Nancy Grace. Nancy Grace is about to give us some interesting information. Let's go.
A45. This, as we learn of reports that the Guthrie family passed polygraphs with flying colors.
Wow. So let's go 2 minutes.
That polygraphed the Casey Anthony family. Now, there's George Anthony getting polygraphed. Remember, his daughter, Tot Mom Casey Anthony, accused him of wrongdoing, of all sorts of crimes in the Tot Mom murder case of her daughter, Kelly, Anthony. Georgia Levo is the one that performed all the polygraphs for A&E's Casey Anthony, the parents' lie detector test. And then you went on to create another A&E program. What was the name of it, George?
That was called a lie detector, truth or deception. That was a series that was patterned after the Casey Anthony show.
All right, real quick. Miss Rue with a $20 super chat says, I've been having a rough morning. Glad to see all strategic and Aki mods. Shout out to the research crew. Hashtag Black Bonnet Gang. Bonnet. Anybody who doesn't know about that, go check my D4VD videos. Then you totally understand what she means by hashtag Black Bonnet Gang. But I want to tell you one thing, Miss Rue. It gets better. This has been a terrible week for me. I'm not going to lie. It's been filled with a lot of ups and downs. All right. And 2025 was a horrible year for me. So I'm hoping that 2026 will be a little bit better. So Miss Rue, it gets better. Just stay positive and understand this too shall pass. One more time. This too shall pass. All right. Keep your head up. Blessings and prayers to you. Let's keep going.
I can't believe people are dumb enough to hook themselves up to one of your polys, Georgia Levo. Georgia Levo is based in L.A. and, as I said, former FBI. Now, before everybody starts screaming, they're not allowed in court. Polygraphs are allowed in court. They are routinely allowed without a problem in civil cases, and they are allowed in criminal cases if they are stipulated or agreed upon before the poly. Both sides have to say, in writing, yes, we'll allow the poly in the criminal case.
Yeah, but the thing was, Nancy, is that a lot of times when it's of substance, when it matters, they're not going to agree to it. You know, a defense attorney is not going to allow a polygraph into the criminal case if their client took the poly and failed. Why would you do that?
Oh, hell no!
That don't make no sense. So that's why people just rudimentarily say, hey, you know, they're not admissible in criminal court. They definitely are admissible in civil court, but then the burden in civil court is much less than in criminal court. All right, we're talking about 51% in many instances for civil court, preponderance of the evidence or whatever. But no defense attorney is going to agree to, yeah, let's put that polygraph in that my client failed. The polygraph that makes him or her look guilty as sin. So let's keep it. I mean, she's right, though. It's important information to put out there, so we agree with Nancy for saying this, but it's just not practical in real world application. Let's keep going.
We agree, and then you perform the poly before you know the outcome. How does it work? Break it down for people that have never been present or never conducted or subjected to a polygraph.
Sure, Nancy. Well, the polygraph there's nothing on the screen that shows up and says you're lying or you're telling the truth. Really, if you really want to look at it more than people calling it a lie detector test, it's really more of a stress detector test. Mm-hmm. And so we're looking at physiology, and at the end of the day, when we say someone passed, what we're saying is that they had no significant response to the relevant questions. And so we're inferring that because of that they're telling the truth. Now, when there's a significant response, then we say that there's a reason for that. Their reactions don't happen in a vacuum. So when they react repeatedly over and over to the same question, because there's redundancy built into the protocol, when they keep reacting to the same question, then we infer that there's deception indicated there.
So have you ever visibly seen them react, Georgia Levo? Like, do they start sweating? Do they glance around nervously? Do they twitch? Do they get a nervous tick? Can you actually see them reacting when your poly is going zzz?
Well, no, not really, because if a person is twitching or moving or even sighing or breathing too heavily, if the physiology is not acceptable, then what most people don't realize, Nancy, is that the trump card that we always have in polygraph when people say, well, what if they cheat? What if they try to cheat? If the physiology does not look natural and normal, if it looks in any way controlled or manufactured in some way, that they're trying to do something on the test, then the examiner, no matter what the score is numerically, the examiner has sole discretion to say, I'm not going to accept this test.
All right, so it's very subjective then, man, that's why it's not really widely accepted in court, because you as the examiner get a lot of leeway to kind of decide what you're interpreting, you know? And so things are going to change from person to person. But by and large, this is something that's been done for a very long time. And so, yes, it does hold a lot of weight, at least in investigations and in civilian aspects. Now, guys, we have almost 900 people watching this show right now. We have only 303 likes. That means over 500 people are watching this show and have not hit the like button. The reason why we ask you to hit the like button so that we can get into the algorithm and the show could grow to a wider audience. So please do support the channel so we could get into that algorithm and have a more successful show. Then we're going to go over and switch over to the 22-minute mark. Big shout out to Nancy Grace yet again, where she's going to talk about these new pictures that are available from law enforcement.
Family, past polygraphs, new images from Nancy Guthrie's yard emerging. Dave Mack, Crime Stories investigative reporter, tell me about the images.
Well, you know, the shocking part of this, Nancy, is that the images that we have now been told about show the time just prior to the alleged kidnapping and the time directly after it. When I say up to before, I mean the day before. And the time, it starts with, picks back up when police are on the scene at the investigation about 12:15. But Nancy, we're talking about the backyard, the swimming pool area, and the side of the house of Nancy Guthrie's house.
Dave Mack, when you're saying the side of the house around the pool area, I find that very, very interesting because Nanos is saying this new video doesn't mean anything. But
who's Nanos? Who's this Nanos person? I thought the sheriff's name was Thanos. You guys know I'm just joking. Thanos said that it means nothing. That means it means something. Whatever with Nanos is opposite day. Whatever Nanos says, we believe the opposite. So if Nanos says it doesn't mean anything, I mean, it means everything. Let's keep going.
Isn't there footage? Let's see that aerial footage, please, control room, of the FBI. This is from our friends at Fox News, combing through the side of the home, the entire pool area. And if you stay on it, you will see, I believe it's the first guy walking, turn around and take photos around the gate. What about that, Dave Mack?
We're talking about the photos that were taken off from the house, from security cameras, thumbnail photos that were taken up to the day before the kidnapping occurred, and then picked right back up with police during the investigation. But according to what we're being told, they don't have photos of the time in question when Nancy Guthrie was taken from the home. So they have it right up to that point and then right after, but not during. I find that
very curious. To Scott Eicher joining us, digital forensics expert, founding member of the FBI Cellular Analysis Survey Team, known as CAST. He is a historical cellular analysis expert, former FBI, 22 years.
All right, real quick, before this guy gives his expert analysis, which I'm very interested to hear, and just to let you guys know, after this, we're going to Ashleigh Banfield, where we're going to see that whole situation we were talking about, where she kind of addresses this whole suit thing and kind of goes over the Tommaso stuff and allegedly has a spat with her guest. We'll see about that, judge that for ourselves. I'm going to ask you once again, we have almost 1,000 people watching this live stream, which once again, we're very humbled that many people would like to check us out. I think the Rabbit Lady's also in the chat. Well, big shout out to Down the Rabbit Hole. So please hit that like button, support the channel so that we could get into the algorithm and the show could be shown to a wider audience. Please do show love to the channel by hitting that like button. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please hit that subscribe button. It's free. We will not send you a bill for subscribing to the channel. It's 100% free, and you get to watch a show with a active duty special victims detective reacting to and educating you on these cases. 19 years of law enforcement experience and counting. I'm eligible for retirement next fall. I'm going to cry. I think I will cry when I hit that 20th mark because it's like I've been doing this my whole life. If you want to go down this journey with us, please hit that subscribe button. Let's keep going.
Former homicide detective at Norfolk, Virginia PD, currently with Precision Cellular Analysis. Scott, isn't that quite the coinkydink? that Nanos is saying, oh, don't look over here. This means nothing. First, he said, there is no video. We're never going to have video. Nancy Guthrie didn't have a subscription. Then, in a Herculean feat, a miracle, Google, out of trillions of data points, finds Nancy Guthrie's porch cam and finds the porch guy. Now we've got more images, thumbnails. Who's to say there's not more? And what about the coincidence that it's of the pool area and backyard, and Nanos is saying, oh, that's nothing. But we see the FBI combing through the pool area and the backyard, even taking photos. Why? And why do the photos lead up to the moment she's kidnapped and then pick up after the moment she's kidnapped?
Well, if you remember back when we first got these videos of the porch guy, we said, and I said, they're going to keep digging. Right? They're going to keep digging it, and they're going to keep digging and keep digging. That's pushing it onto Google and the FBI if they get different sets of data to comb through all this data and to find these little thumbnails of the side of the house and that pool, backyard stuff. Like, very important, I think. You're showing a timeline of when those cameras were working and when they weren't working, and think about looking at the camera or the thumbnails of the pool area prior to Miss Guthrie going missing. Has anything been moved since after she was kidnapped? Was the gate open afterwards? Was it closed before? So those are things that I think Mr. Nanos just is not thinking through his answers before he's giving it to the media, that there is going to be some information that could be helpful in those thumbnail photos.
Yeah, absolutely.
Scott Eicher, don't move.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. For Nanos to say that they're not probative is just ridiculous. Everything is probative to a certain extent. So I definitely think that was not advisable for him to say that. And whether it's probative or not, the thing with Nanos that I've noticed, and I see a pinned comment here, I'm going to read it in a second. And we got a super chat too that I need to read out. The thing with Nanos that really pisses me off is that he gives too much information, just like Ashleigh Banfield. No disrespect. No disrespect to Ashleigh Banfield. I like her, but I don't like Thanos, so it is what it is. He gives too much information. He tells us what's relevant and what's not. And that's for your debriefing meetings. That's for your meetings with your detectives and with your detective supervisors when they're telling you the status of the case, your status update meetings. That's not for the media. That's not for true crime with strategic eyes. Understand that I'm here as a YouTuber, so I'm putting my YouTube hat on, my fake sheriff hat, and I'm going to act like a YouTuber. But when I'm out of this chair and I'm in the real world, I'm not telling you nothing. I'm not telling you nothing. I'm giving you zero information. If any of my cases make the news, you will get zero information when I have my detective hat on. Yet Thanos comes out here on a podium and through these press releases and literally tells us the entire case. Why would you say that these thumbnail pictures are not probative? Why you keep telling the bad guys that you have no evidence on them? I don't understand.
Oh, hell no!
It's like he's working for the bad guys, man. Big shout out to Paula Mesa with a $5 super chat says, love your sheriff's uniform, strategic. You're ready for the position, my friend. That's right. I'm running for Pima County Sheriff. And over here we have a pinned comment says, Ava Reed says, oh, thank God, a YouTuber that actually has knowledge and experience. As a Leo myself, it's been wild. Sorry, the pin went away. Let's go back. While seeing the things I'm seeing on YouTube, I found my people. Appreciate you. Welcome to the channel. Thank you for coming through. I'm a quirky person. I'm crazy. So yes, I'm an experienced law enforcement officer, but I'm also a clown. So as you go on this journey with us, I'll be cracking a lot of jokes. So don't be alarmed. Don't be alarmed, okay? So anyway, yeah, this is interesting. This is very interesting stuff. Let's keep going here for just a few more minutes, and we're going to go over to Ashleigh Banfield and see what she has to say.
Let me see that aerial video again. Scott Eicher just gave me another thought. The aerial video, Dave Mack, they were really coming through the backyard in the pool area. And this is after Pima County sheriffs had already processed the scene. The feds are back. Isn't it true that a dog started going crazy the night Nancy was kidnapped? And wouldn't that abut her backyard and pool area?
Do. The home in question actually faces the Nancy Guthrie's backyard. And the neighbor said that between 2 and 2:30 of the morning in question, that their dog started losing his cookies and was just barking like crazy, something the dog did not normally do. But Nancy, even more than that, that when the neighbors were looking at their own video cameras, surveillance cameras at their home, that they have 2 cameras facing the front and 2 facing the back. The 2 facing the back of their home is closest to Nancy Guthrie's home. And during that time period where the dog was barking, where between 2 and 2.
This is a very beautiful community, by the way. These houses are lovely. They're lovely houses. Nancy's compound is very nice. I like it. I like the aesthetic of it. But let's keep going.
30 in the morning, their video cameras were not, their security cameras were not connecting via Wi-Fi. They were shut down. The 2 furthest away from Nancy Guthrie's home were still connecting, but the 2 closest to Nancy Guthrie's home not connecting by Wi-Fi.
So it looks like maybe they might have used like a Wi-Fi jammer or something. Like we're all asking ourselves, like, what does this guy have in his book bag? His book bag is so filled. Like what kidnapper goes to a house with a filled book bag where you can't, or what burglar rather? Kidnapper, who knows? May it be supplies to kidnap you with. But what burglar would go to somebody's house with a filled book bag, leaving no space for them to put the booty in, right? You know, the ill-gotten gains. So it's possible he's not a burglar, which is more likely he's not, and that he's a professional kidnapper. And maybe in that book bag are things like signal jammers that he would use. And I said booty, pirate booty. You know what I'm saying? Pirate booty, like loot. Aki's like, booty? Come on, man. Not that kind of booty. Anyway, like maybe he has like a signal jammer in his book bag or something like that. If they're saying that out of nowhere, these Wi-Fi devices are losing connectivity as, you know, dogs are being alerted and other things are going off, that there might be something amiss in the community. It's totally possible. These Wi-Fi jammers are sold on Amazon, and they're widely deployed in both the private and the public sector. So it's not like you can't get it. And they range in price from dirt cheap to super expensive. The more you pay, the more reliable the jammer. The less you pay, the less reliable. But that doesn't mean that the cheap ones aren't going to do the job just as well as the expensive ones, like most things in life, okay? But let's keep going.
See that video footage again from 12 News. To Brian Fitzgibbons joining us, Director Operations USPA Nationwide Security, leading a team of investigators around the world, finding missing people, including extractions from Mexico. He's at USPAsecurity.com, former Marine, and Iraqi war.
All right, so we'll leave this one right here. Please go to Nancy Guthrie's channel, watch the rest of this interview. I'm going to now go to Savannah Guthrie and to actually Ashleigh Banfield, my apologies. Now, I do want to address one thing. In the chat, Dawn Roden says, could Thanos be given bad information to give to the bad guys, a false sense of security? I don't think so, and that would be ill-advised. And law enforcement rarely, if ever, does that. And I'll tell you why. Because the bad guys aren't the only one watching your coverage. And when you start spitting out a ton of negative information, like I could say, I think this case is cold, which I've said a million times, but I'm just a YouTube commentator, talking head, who will probably get maybe a few thousand views off of the show, and then nobody will care, right? But on the other hand, you are the lead of that investigation. If you start putting information out there that is false information, such as nothing probative here, nothing probative there, this is not important, we're never going to solve the case, whatever, what you're telling the public is stop looking and stop caring. People have a limited amount of time in their life to donate, to help volunteer and look, a limited amount of time, a limited amount of care in the world for things outside of their world and their family. If you tell people, hey, look, there's nothing to see here, then nobody's going to take the time to go into, because like I have the same Google cameras that Nancy has, I have like what? I don't know, like 12 months of I don't know what it is. I have the top tier of that subscription where I get many, many months of footage. If I live in that community or in that wider community and I'm being told that it's nothing, it's no big deal, we're never going to find this person, it's not probative, I'm not going to take the time to go through weeks and weeks and weeks of footage to see if I see something. I'm like, well, there's nothing to see here. I'm going to keep it moving. When you put this kind of information out there, you dissuade the public from being interested, and therefore your leads dry up. You want people to be engaged. You want them to know that there's hope. You want them to feel almost obligated to want to see something and say something, and sometimes go above and beyond to see if they may have some probative information. So I think that it doesn't do anything but help the bad guys by lessening the public's interest in the case when you're releasing information like what Nanos, aka Thanos, has been releasing to the public. All right, let's go over to Ashleigh Banfield. And man, let's see what's going on with that. Let's start at the 3-minute mark. This is interesting.
More focus. We're also learning, Megan heard this from her source. I also heard it from my law enforcement source, actually a couple weeks ago, that the sheriff's department used polygraph tests to help clear the Guthrie family. And my source went further than Megan's source and said, and also used their volunteered devices, meaning here's my phone, you can take it and you can look at it, which in law enforcement is weird, only because it's standard operating procedure. You have to check a family when some vulnerable person is gone or missing. Just like Ed Smart, he was thoroughly investigated in the disappearance of Elizabeth Smart. Devastating as it is, it's just what cops have to do because the stats typically say the majority are abducted or harmed by someone close to them. So in this particular case, to use polygraphs and volunteered devices is an odd way to clear somebody. Maybe there's more to it, but that's what.
Why would it be odd? I'm confused about that. I don't know how it would be odd. And listen, I'm not here just critiquing Ashleigh Banfield. No, this is my honest. Like, you know, sometimes people, YouTube is weird. You guys gotta understand. Like, I think I'm one of the most honest YouTubers out here. I'm just a straight shooter. I don't create controversy for clicks and views. I'm literally just giving it to you guys how I see it. And I hope that you appreciate it. And you know what? Listen, quite a few of you guys appreciate, you see through the bull crap. Y'all see the entertainers and you see the real folk. All right. So as a law enforcement professional with a lot of experience doing investigations, I don't see how giving the family a polygraph and taking their devices through volunteer, because guess what? If it's not volunteer, I got to go to a judge and try and get a search warrant, and I got to convince the judge that I believe that there's going to be criminality on that phone. If I can't convince a judge that there's criminality on that phone, that judge is going to deny that search warrant. So how is it odd that the police said, listen, we would like to see if you had anything to do with this. Are you willing to give us your phones voluntarily? They're like, yes, of course. I did nothing with this. I did nothing to this case. Here, take my phones. Take my devices. And I'm willing to take a polygraph, too, to show you that I did nothing to my mother-in-law or, you know, or my mother in the case of Annie. How is that odd? It's like, you know, listen, words have meanings. So now when you say that as Ashleigh Banfield, there's going to be a ton of people out there who's going to say, ooh, that's odd. Or, well, Ashleigh has been a reporter for 20, 30 years. She said it's odd, so it must be odd. You're putting suspicious on folks that may not deserve that suspicion just by using your words, because like we say on this channel all the time, words are powerful. Words have meanings. Shoot, words are spiritual. Words can touch you in your soul. You are communicating with your audience by saying this very routine thing. Take it from the detective. This is very routine, is odd. There's nothing odd about this. There's nothing odd about this, Ashleigh. What are you doing here, Ashleigh? I'm confused. Let me call her up on the phone tonight. We're going to have a conversation, Ashleigh. I'm just going to hit on the red phone, you know, because I'm special. I got that red phone number. I'm going to call her up, and we're going to ask her what she's doing here. Let's keep going.
What my source told me. My source also said there were several people in the department who were upset by that. But they are now cleared. And on top of that, something we've been waiting for 43 days, because today's day 45, is that they have finally returned Annie's car to her. Can't tell you why they kept it that long. We're going to get to it in a moment because one of the people who knows this business inside and out is Brian Entin's producer, Allison Weiner. She's so good at this job. She was down there in Tucson.
So Aki, I don't know, Aki, you better not have been hyping this. Aki said they kind of go at it. I don't know. I got to see. We're going to react to this raw, but Aki said this is worth watching. That's why we watching this. Let's see. So apparently Brian Entin, let's keep going.
For days and days and days and days, cultivating sources, getting all sorts of amazing tips and lots of really good interviews that you saw Brian actually doing. Allison Weiner's also written a really, really cool book because she has been there and back.
Nah, I'm gassing it. They said that there was in a cat fight, but it's interesting. Let's see.
She's a lawyer. She's been a journalist forever and ever, and she's covered some of the biggest cases. And the book is about 4 of the most high-profile cases. It's actually called Murder and the Media. Mm-hmm. Behind the scenes of 4 high-profile murders. So Allison's going to join me in a moment to tell me what was going on behind the scenes with Brian Entin and her as they were trying to dig on this story and deal with this law enforcement and what they were doing and what they weren't doing and all the back and forth and, retracting this and changing that. Allison was in the middle of it all. And why I called Allison was because there are so many open-ended mysteries and questions that have been left unanswered in this case.
All right, so this is what we're going to do. We're going to zoom over to where Allison comes on the show or where it's meaningful. Aki said 14 minutes. So this is her right here. Now they're going to start talking. Let's see what they got. Because I do have work, so I can't stay here for 1,000 years. All right. I don't know if there's going to be a cat fight. Let me not go crazy with it. I don't know. All I know is that from Aki's synopsis that they're going to have a difference in opinion. And we're going to explore that together and see if there's a difference in opinion. Let's do it.
There's no cause for concern. So which one is it? That there's a boogeyman out there and you've known since day one? Because on day there's no cause for concern. There's no threat to the why he was here. This is just last week. We believe we know why he was here and have known since day one. Mm-hmm. What?
Wait, Aki, what are you doing? This sounds very interesting. We got to go backwards a little bit. Oh my gosh.
On video.
Right. But why are you saying it's a kidnapping? Because she was taken by force, or maybe somebody took her by force to kill her. I mean, God forbid, but I mean, it's just, there's other reasons.
Yeah, it sounds to me like he thought she was taken alive, because that is a kidnapping, as opposed to she's been killed and the body's been removed, which how would he know? And so that's why when he says things like, I've known since day one, he said, we believe we know why he was here. This is just last week. We believe we know why he was here and have known since day one. What?
Yeah, that's huge. Who said that? Nanos? That's huge. That means you know motive. If you know motive, how you don't know who he is? They usually go hand in hand. Usually, not always. But if you know his motive, then it should be easy to find out who he is. Because how did you find out the motive? Did you find a letter? Did you get a phone call? Like, what's going on with that? That is huge information there. Big shout out to DP with a $5 super chat. Says 1.2 thousand eyes watching midday. Let's hit the like button. That's a fact, man. We got a lot of people watching, so we appreciate you. Please hit the like button, support the channel. And Karen Care Less says, don't be a Karen, hit the like button. But this is huge. But let's keep going.
Yeah. What? Because on day 2, you said there's no cause for concern. There's no threat to the public. Again, those are my words, but paraphrasing. So,
well, he said it again recently.
Yeah, I mean, he's saying there's a boogeyman now and says he's known since day one that there's a threat to the community. He's known. We believe we know why he was here and have known since day one. Well, on day 2, you said there's no cause for concern. So which one is it? That there's a boogeyman out there and you've known since day one? Because on day 2, you said there was no threat.
I have to say, I mean, I think when you look at the sheriff, again, I'm going to have to say he was out of his depth. He was busy being territorial. He wasn't giving things to the FBI. Right. They have superior resources to local law enforcement. They have a different budget than local law enforcement. Right. He's sneaking gloves to his old lab that's going to take a year when Quantico could do it in a much faster way, or there's some private lab that they could pay. I mean, my feeling is that when there is a DNA situation, we usually get a pretty fast answer. I mean,
Yeah,
if they
great,
want to
though.
tell us.
That Florida lab is no joke. They are great. They have solved cold cases and they've done remarkable work. I'm not so wound up about that lab being used.
No. It is a problem using a private lab because there's too many different hands. If the FBI is offering you to use their lab, you use the FBI's lab because it could be quickly entered into CODIS. And then also, you're also hurting the taxpayers. And people never talk about the taxpayers. We just act like money is unlimited. So you're going to send it to a private lab, pay them $50,000 to do the testing, then have to ship it to Quantico, to your state lab, because the testing has to be done in the state lab for it to be entered into Quantico, into CODIS. There's just so many different hands. You're testing things like 2, 3, 4 times. Private labs are definitely useful when you're using them, for, technologies that have not been adopted by public labs yet, because usually those technologies happen in the private labs because they're so expensive. Super cold cases where, the public labs have already got a shot at it and they couldn't do it. They have their niche, but you don't choose a private lab for rudimentary DNA testing over a public lab when the FBI is basically telling you we'll do it for free, or at least not out the expense of your budget. Nothing's for free because our tax dollars is paying for Quantico too. But they'll do it for free, not out of your budget and your state and local taxpayers, and it makes you get your results much faster. You don't choose it. You don't. But let's keep going.
I am wound up about a sheriff who calls off a search, says there's no concern for the community, wraps up a crime scene in 24 to 36 hours, but at the same time is towing under a warrant the daughter's car and then searching the daughter's house and asking the daughter's neighbors for their video and collecting. And my source said the sheriff and his folks were zeroed in on the family members, on Annie and Tommaso.
So here she goes. This is her addressing the lawsuit, in my opinion. She's given the justification as to why she was justified in saying Tommaso was numero uno suspect. And she's basically blaming the sheriff for it. So this is her response. Like, yo, you can't sue me because you guys were doing all these investigative steps. And she does have a point, mind you. She 100% has a point. Like, you guys are taking all these investigative steps that makes everybody believe that you're looking into these family members as the culprits. And my source, who works for the FBI, told me that you were focusing in. And she's 100% correct. She's 100% correct in the optics. And guess what? You can use optics as a defense in a civil case. Let's keep going.
And I feel as though the reason he was saying there's no threat to the community on day one is because that's what he believed.
Right.
And my source is airtight. What they were doing and what they were looking at was 100% Tommaso.
So what we need to do is find her source and get them the hell out of law enforcement. Because you can't do these type of investigations and have leaks like this. Her source is a snitch and should be fired. To be honest with you, like, that's my detective hat on. Now, as a YouTuber, we like sources. But as a law enforcement agent, if I'm the lead detective in this case and I'm trying to solve this case and Ashleigh's got a source in my camp, that's not a source. That is a leaker, and that person is thwarting my investigation. That source needs to be fired. But let's keep going.
Have they changed their minds and not told us they've changed their minds because now they believe there's a boogeyman? This is what is so disingenuous about this sheriff. He shat all over everybody who dared to suggest that the reporting that we got out of the department was wrong. It turns out by their own actions, it looks like that's what they thought, and they may have screwed it up and lost valuable time.
Right. So Ashleigh had a conversation with her attorney, I think. Her attorney said, listen, Ashleigh, I know you're a huge YouTuber, but there's a small channel called True Crime with Strategic. And this guy, Strategic Guys, have been making fun of Sheriff Thanos for like the last 3 months. I need you to go watch his channel, and I need you to do one thing, Ashleigh. She said, what should I do, attorney? He said, blame Thanos. This is Ashleigh's defense against any type of lawsuit from Savannah Guthrie. And it's a really good defense, too. It's an excellent defense. It is actually a winning defense. Blame Thanos.
Oh, my God.
She said, don't blame me. It's Thanos' fault. All right, I hear you, Ashleigh. Let's keep going.
Well, my feeling about that is I don't name a suspect before the police have named a suspect when I'm doing reporting because...
Boom. Oh, shoot, man. She just threw some shade at her. Listen to this. This producer lady for Brian Entin. Now, listen, she's the brains behind Brian Entin. Brian Entin's doing an amazing job. This is producer. Look at her. She got those veteran eyes. She done seen some shit.
Oh, my God.
This woman done seen some stuff, man. Listen, she about to throw some real shade. She's about to throw some shade at Ashleigh. Let's listen to this.
It's because now they believe there's a boogeyman. This is what is so disingenuous about this sheriff. He shat all over everybody who dared to suggest that the reporting that we got out of the department was wrong. It turns out by their own actions, it looks like that's what they thought, and they may have screwed it up and lost valuable time.
Well, my feeling about that is I don't name a suspect before the police have named a suspect when I'm doing reporting.
You hear that? When I'm doing reporting, Ashleigh. What? How you gonna,
oh, my
God.
God.
On her show. She brought you on your show. You don't give 2 Fs. She don't give 2 She said, when I'm doing reporting, Ashleigh, I don't name suspects until the police have named the suspect. So Ashleigh been defending herself saying, blame Thanos. And the moment this lady get to talk on Ashleigh's show, she said, well, when I'm doing my reporting, I don't name suspects until the police have named them. What else she says?
Because I do know that when somebody goes missing, the family are the first people they look at.
Obviously, when somebody go missing, the first person that they look at is the family. So why you naming the family as suspects and got 1.5 million people calling Tommaso Mr. Tomato? That is unethical. That's basically what she said. Let's see what she said.
Family, friends, everybody. So I wasn't surprised that they were looking at her car or that they were the last people to drive her home.
She basically calling Ashleigh an amateur. Yo, Aki, we bring somebody on the show like that, they doing me dirty like that, I'm going to be like, I'm not feeling well, guys. I'm going to have to end this show real quick. I got the bubble guts. Ladies and gentlemen, I got the bubble guts. We're going to have to end this show right now. We'll come do a part 2, okay? Guests, thank you for coming on. We'll see you guys on the next one, guys. Strategic is out of here. Oh, my stomach, I got to go. Man, you had to get the bubble guts right now. You had to get up out of there, Ashleigh. She just said that. She said you were amateur. She said this is like common policing right here. She's delete. What to delete everything? Delete everything. I got to get that on there. Oh my God. Well, okay. Let's keep going. Let's keep going.
You know, all of those kinds
It's weird.
things.
In my business, it's weird. The victims, like even Ed Smart's car wasn't towed. His house.
But you just ignored that though. No, Ashleigh is a pro. She's a pro.
Delete everything. Delete everything.
She is a pro. This lady just threw mad shade at her. And she just pretended like the lady said nothing. And just started talking about something that don't have nothing to do with what this lady just said. This lady just basically explained why Savannah Guthrie is pissed off. She just explained why it's unethical. I think unethical is a strong word because it's not really like unethical, but why it's just not advisable and it's not good journalism to go ahead and take the route that Ashleigh took, considering that this is kind of like common procedure to look at the family members in a case like this. And she just totally ignored everything. She didn't address it. She didn't say, well, you know, the reason why I did it is because X, Y, and Z. And it might be a good reason, you know? She just ignored it, like the lady didn't say that. That's deep. Let's keep going.
Wasn't photographed in terms of like in the depth of the night for 3 hours.
Yeah.
Like weird stuff happened. And I think we can all look back on it now. And this is why I do this reporting, because law enforcement does lie to us. And I am a huge fan of law enforcement, and I know they have a hard job to do, but my boss is truth. And when we see stuff like this, I want to be able to hold them accountable, because in Moscow, Idaho, they lied to us, and Brian Koberger walked among us for 6 weeks. And I would have.
Oh man, I don't know, man. I'm kind of conflicted here, bro. I'm really conflicted with true crime. Does that make sense? Where's my does that make sense? I'm conflicted with true crime.
Does that make sense?
Because like I'm a true crimer. At least I'm trying to be. I'm new on the scene, man. I'm the new kid on the block. But I'm also a detective. And it's like you don't know our thought process and our methodology as to what we're trying to do to catch this person. It's like you're thinking about the now. Like, oh, I'm the media. I want to know right now. You have to tell us. It's like, no, we don't have to effing tell you anything. We're trying to send this person to jail for the rest of their life. And sometimes that takes time. And you don't know what the DAs are asking for and what type of probable cause we're trying to develop and what type of case we're trying to bring forward. And that takes time. So like, who gives true crimers, which includes myself, the right to determine what we should know? And I think only non-law enforcement, non-investigators would think like this. I think there's a place for this, but there's also, I'm happy that I'm on this platform because there's also a place for real detectives. You know, not the people who are just, you know, on the sidelines watching in. And no disrespect to those folks. But there's a place for us real law enforcement people who come on this platform, because these folks don't understand what it takes to build cases. It doesn't matter how many cases you cover. If you're not a case maker, you'll never understand what it takes to build a real criminal case. You'll never understand it. It don't matter how smooth you talk, how talented you are, how pretty you are, how great your lighting is. It doesn't effing matter. These are not case makers, and it shows. It really does show. At the end of the day, these are all amateurs. They're 30-year amateur veterans, 5-year amateur veterans, 6-month amateur veterans. It doesn't matter if they're in the game for 40 freaking years. They're still amateurs because they're not case makers. And sometimes they need to understand you're helping the bad guys, man.
Pulled my kids out of there and brought them home had I known there was that threat to the community. So the fact that he's saying there's nothing to worry about here, why? How would you possibly say that? Because as it turned out, he was wrong. He was wrong. He was focusing, according to my source, on entirely the wrong direction. And now that guy is out there, and we've lost valuable evidence to catch him.
Well, I have to agree with you with that. I think he's myopic. I mean, he was myopic about what he was doing. I think he was chasing a bit of glory there, you know, like at the press conferences with the quiet voice, because I had sources that say he doesn't have a quiet voice.
I've heard the same, that he's very vindictive and nasty to a lot of people in the department. And Brian Entin's done great work with you down there. You found those people who said, yeah, I had my difficulties with this guy. He's mean.
Yeah, even the deputy sheriff who had served for, 30 years more probably, Rick Castigar, said that he just agreed to be his deputy to help him show him the ropes when he took over as sheriff. But his behavior, again, was not professional, and he quit. And this guy is like a real sheriff.
Right. Big shout out to everybody who's watching this show. Kind of teetering around 1,300 people on the live. That's a lot of people, man. That's amazing. And we do appreciate all you guys who are joining us today. Please do hit that like button, support the channel so that we can get into the algorithm and this show could be shown to a wider audience. And I just want to say one more time, listen, I'm a real talker and I'm very passionate. So I just express myself how I feel. But there's no shade on Ashleigh Banfield. I'm a big fan of hers. I subscribe to her channel. I will continue to subscribe to her channel. I will continue to react to her videos. I just disagree with her on this one, but I love her, and I do appreciate her contributions to true crime, all right? Point blank, period. And people disagree with me all the time. I don't care because, you know, it's a part of life. You got to be able to take criticism, and we take it here on this channel all the time. And so we're not always going to agree with every other channel, especially as a reaction channel. We're going to react and we're not going to always agree, all right? But no shade at all to anyone. So please hit that like button, support the channel as we continue down this journey.
I mean, he's close to the vest. He knows how to formulate an answer so that he doesn't give too much away. I think it's really important, and it's frustrating to us as reporters, but it is very important in the beginning of an investigation not to tell too much. Let it just play out. Don't tell us like what you're doing.
It's why you have a PIO. It's why you send the PIO out to the microphone, because the PIO is only given what you give the PIO to tell, and everything else the PIO has to say, I'm sorry, I don't have an answer to that, or I can't answer that. Or, oh, my answer for that one is part of the investigation. I can't answer that. It's pretty simple. It's Crime 101. And listen, I've been doing it 38 years, so I've been to this rodeo a lot.
And I agree with Ashleigh on this one. Like, you know, the sheriff was out of pocket. The sheriff was definitely not media trained. He needed to be trained by a D4VD. David should have media trained Thanos. But he definitely gave too much information, and he should have just go to that old law enforcement hat trick where they say, hey, listen, this is a part of the investigation and I can't discuss it right now. He just felt like he had to have an answer for everything. It really led us down a really bad path, but let's keep going.
And I could tell right away something was up with this guy. There was just something disingenuous about what he was saying and then what I was hearing from inside the department.
Well, I will tell you my own personal experience. We had an interview set up with him after the first press conference or second press conference. Sort of blending together a little bit. And the PIO, who's super nice.
Delete everything. Delete everything.
It was very haphazard. Went back on his word. We waited a half hour, 45 minutes where we could have been out investigating. He just didn't treat people the way you'd want to be treated.
Well, Allison, how about just putting out statements saying we will not be doing interviews or having press conferences, and suddenly there's an interview with NBC? What do you mean? Suddenly there's another interview with a local. Like, wait, just stick with whatever it is you're saying and be consistent, because now there's very little faith. Let me go to this next one. The inside of the home, again, one of the biggest questions I have is, where is the crime scene inside the home? My source said there's blood droplets inside the home that match the pattern outside. Straight up and down blood droplets, no sign of a struggle. But where? What did they find and where?
Well, the only thing I went by was that Savannah Guthrie said that they pulled her out of her bed in the middle of the night. So that's the best I could think of, that it's somewhere around in that bedroom. Because, I mean, and again, I'm guessing. I mean, I don't have the proof of that. I just know what she stated, and it was very specific.
Taken from her bed in the dark of night was what Savannah's exact words were.
And she's a broadcaster. We don't say things by accident.
She's not going to mess with it. Yeah. Words are important. We know every single word. And in a case like this, that's under the microscope, Savannah, of everybody, would know every single word was being, people were hanging on every word.
That's what that was my takeaway from that. In terms of, I do have to say one more thing about the sheriff. The thing that I found the most despicable or difficult with the sheriff, I shouldn't say despicable, and I know he was under a lot of pressure, but when somebody goes missing or they are abducted, the best friend you have is the media.
Yeah.
We will get out the pictures. We will get out the word. We will have everybody looking, anybody see anything in that neighborhood. Mm-hmm. And if you say the search is over, then we report the search is over. So nobody's searching anymore. Mm. I mean, so many.
And didn't I say that before, guys? I said just like 15 minutes ago, that, you know, when you tell people that nothing is going on, they're going to walk away from the case, which means your leads are going to dry up. And now this veteran producer lady, you know, who's doing an amazing job with Brian Entin, you need to come holler at me. Teach me something, ma'am. I'm listening. Come on over to my channel and help me out, all right? We can fire Aki. You can replace Aki. Had this lady with them serious eyes. She done seen some stuff, man. I'm telling you. She's seen some things, okay? Come on over here. Like she just said that people are going to stop looking. They're going to stop looking if you say, hey, we have nothing, you know, this case is dried up. I could say it because I'm a dumb YouTuber. I'm just a guy I'm a dumb cop with a mic. I could say that. But Sheriff Nanos, aka Thanos, should not be saying that. Let's keep going.
Times I have to say, I always feel kind of proud about it that we can help. This is a good thing. Like when Riley Strain went missing and he ended up in the river, like that we spent weeks trying to see if we could get assistance and kept it in the news every night. You know,
Gabby
I found
Petito was found by streamers.
You know, I
Media.
mean, it's a everybody has a phone. Everybody can go out looking. How do you turn down the Cajun Navy too? What's that about?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously they don't care if their dogs get stuff in their paws. I mean, or horses.
Well, they've got the protection. They've figured it out. These are all professional folks who do this for a living, and it's not like they haven't seen the Arizona desert before. People know what the Arizona desert was. What do you think the source of the? This is the other big question. The source of the unknown.
All right, hold up real quick. Big shout out to everybody who's joined us. Please hit that like button, support the channel. People say, don't fire Aki and justice for Aki. We fire Aki, I think half the viewers will leave. You guys don't even like me. You guys like Aki. This is the strategic Aki show. Anyway, let's keep going, man. This is interesting stuff.
Male DNA and where it may have come from that made them think it's important.
I think that in the struggle that there was some, you know, even putting her in a bag, you know, getting her to drag her out. Our FBI experts said actually with the droplets that that's somebody just bleeding down who's being carried because they're all like, or they might have sneezed. There's a little tiny part where they might have sneezed, but it was like her head came, you know, probably. I think with the droplets and I think that she was passed out. I think they did something to her, maybe knocked her out.
Oh, boy.
I mean, that's what I kind of thought. And she's still bleeding, like hit her across the face or something.
Yeah,
and,
you know, I don't know how they would walk this lady out. Like, she's so old and she can't walk well. I'd imagine it'd probably be easier just to carry her out. So that's a really good theory and an interesting theory. She's slumped over the guy's shoulder. He's carrying her out. She's got a nosebleed. And then you see these droplets falling as she's being carried out. That kind of makes some kind of sense to me. I'd imagine it'd be a lot of commotion kind of getting this old person to walk to a car. And mind you, they're like falling on the ground. You know, they're unable to stand on their own. It'd make a lot of noise, a lot of commotion. They're screaming, help, please, no, you know. And while you're trying to corral them into your getaway vehicle, I think it probably makes more sense. She's knocked out and you're carrying her out of the home. And the only thing you're really struggling with is the weight of this person. And she, you know, she's a very small, petite woman. Pretty sure she didn't weigh 115 pounds. She certainly had some weight on her, but she's not weighing 300 pounds. So it's manageable for the average man. So let's keep going. This is a good theory. I like it.
And then carried her out of there, maybe out the back door. I mean, you know, but they went out the front door because their blood drops there. I'm sorry. Yeah. That was my mistake. I think that, I think she was carried, and that's what the FBI guys think when they looked at
too, because the pattern, you know, you're not walking someone who's dripping blood because you're not walking through the blood as it's been.
Oh, and I said she's not 115 pounds. I said she's not. Somebody said 115 is so small. I did not say she was. I said she's not 115 pounds. She had weight on her. Now, they're saying that the bed sheets were all messed up. She's saying that the FBI believed that, you know, if she was carried out in bed sheets, she's dead. She was dead on the scene. You know, they killed her on the scene. You know, you guys understand, it's a very old lady. You know, if it's dark and they go into the room, sneak in while she's sleeping, she wakes up, she's startled. They instinctively hit her with a gun or something to incapacitate her. For a young person, maybe that's a concussion. Maybe they black out for a little bit. For an 84-year-old elderly person, that could probably mean instant death. And then you're like, oh, shoot, this person just died on me. Now it's like, all right, you have two choices. Either you leave the property and you let them find a homicide scene when they come, or you take the body with you, and now we don't know if it's a homicide or if it's a kidnapping. And look what happened. They assumed there's a kidnapping, which I'm not saying is wrong that they assume that. That's what we believe. It's a kidnapping. We want her to be alive. We want her to come home safe. But it also takes the investigation in a different trajectory, because you're not just focused on the crime scene and gathering all information on that crime scene to solve a homicide. Now you're trying to chase leads to see if you could find somebody who's still alive and breathing, traveling to whatever destination or stored in a different location. It stretches those resources, because now when somebody calls in a lead and says, I think I saw Nancy Guthrie on 3rd and Main Street, you have to now extend resources to 3rd and Main Street and see and pull the cameras that are around 3rd and Main Street to see if you found if that sighting was actually probative. Whereas if you believe it's a homicide from the outset, you're just focusing on a crime scene. Somebody says, oh, I saw Nancy on 3rd and Main. You're like, no, we didn't. She's dead. We got a homicide here. That's a low priority, because it's most likely an erroneous tip. That's, of course, if they left the body in the house and you're looking at Nancy in the house and you say, no, Nancy's dead here. You're not worrying about that tip from 3rd and Main Street. But in this case, they don't know if they had a homicide or a kidnapping because the body's gone. So when they do get that tip from 3rd and Main Street, they got to send somebody out there actively. They got to stretch their resources thin to go and see if that's a credible and probative tip, even though it may not be. Inadvertently or calculatedly, removing the body, if she was dead, was a genius move on the part of the burglar. If she died that night, removing the body was ingenious, because it stretched this investigation thin. Let's keep going.
Reported to me from my sources that it's not stepped in and walked through, and doesn't appear to be stepped in the front door either, where we got the pictures.
No, and there's no what one of our sources said is, and you've had her on before, Maureen O'Connell said there would be an interruption in the blood drops if somebody's walking and they're all like just totally on. So yeah, no, I don't know if she was dead when they left her, because she, still bleeding. I'm not a doctor, but I kind of think they knocked her out. And then they took her, and I kind of think they took her because they had their DNA all over.
I mean, I look at the whole notion that we went through weeks of, this whole ransom bullshit, and there's Nano saying, and I've known since day one. What? Wait a minute. We believe we know why he was here and have known since day one. Then why did you waste all our time with ransom bullshit? Again, this mystery of how could you say you knew since day one when you were behaving totally different?
This guy is nuts, man. Thanos is nuts. He is nuts. That statement right there is nuts.
Day one.
No disrespect to all my, I just sent a t-shirt to somebody in Tucson who's watching this show. I love my Tucson people. A lot of people who live in Tucson watch the show as we do this coverage on the Nancy Guthrie case. There's no disrespect to you guys, but every single one of you need to look in the mirror, because this is not the first time that Nanos has screwed up a case. This is not the first time that Nanos has been accused of incompetence. You need to look in the mirror and need to ask yourself, why? Why did you vote this guy in office? Did you vote him in office because of all these ancillary things in politics that he supported or didn't support? I'm not going to go into it. You look it up and you can figure it out for yourself. Or did you vote him in office because you thought he was the best man on the job to keep you and your mothers safe? If you voted for him because of other political things that has nothing to do with a sheriff, shame on you, because you literally voted your life away. You put somebody in office who's not going to protect your family simply because they had the right symbol in front of their name and they had beliefs that had nothing to do with the day-to-day operations of a sheriff's department. You're an ideologue, and you literally voted your life away, because there could have been somebody who's of the same party or a different party who would have taken your safety seriously. Right now, you have somebody in office who is an idiot. No disrespect, maybe just a little bit. Can't insult somebody and say no disrespect. It's an oxymoron. All right, I meant it. You're an idiot. He screwed this case up. He literally screwed this case up. And now he's making statements that make no sense, that only serves to show just how incompetent he is as a sheriff. He's been in law enforcement for over 40 years. That does not mean that he's a good leader of a sheriff's department. Some people just make good wingmen. Some people just make good sidekicks. We all love Batman. Nobody ever cared about a Robin movie. You see Batman and Robin, oh, that's a great movie, but we don't care about seeing Robin on his own. Thanos is a Robin. He's probably a great second in command, but he sucks as a sheriff. Let's keep going.
Than you are now. It's mystifying.
It's not even mystifying. It seems disingenuous.
Yes, it's mystifying that someone behave that way. I think that's what it is. And like you said, Allison, the media is your friend. They'll do anything to get this word out. I mean, we scratch each other's backs in that way, right? It's our product to talk about this missing woman. It's your product to try to get the word out, to get more tips and get those eyeballs. Someone will know and someone will solve it. And it usually is just that small linchpin. And the media helps you find that linchpin. And so with the Cajun Navy. Yeah. So to me, it's mystifying why there's just been such a rebuffing of everybody that works in the business of, true crime. Their standard operating procedure. He just seemed to fly in the face of it. The other question I have is, and this never made sense. The sheriff said early on that Annie and Tommaso dropped Nancy off. Then he said Annie dropped Nancy off. And then he said Tommaso dropped Nancy off. And he told the New York Times Tommaso dropped Nancy off. But then in the news conference 5 days later on Thursday, he said, let's just go with family. Like, what was the point of obfuscating so blatantly? Why would that be? What can you see would be an advantage?
I would see that he wasn't finding any evidence against them. I would say they seized the car. Yeah, they're looking into everything that they could find about them. And I think they're not finding anything. Right. So he starts to walk it back, like everything else he did. Like every time he said something, he would walk it back. I mean, and I got to tell you, think about it. If your kid stood up and said, I've known from day one and they've been lying to you. I mean, I know.
Proverbially.
You knew from day one and you didn't tell me. I mean, I think that he began to see the writing on the wall that it wasn't them. Right. Or there is no evidence that it was them. Whatever. And then I guess he got some pressure to say that they cleared them. I guess, the only thing that I can juxtapose that with is that Savannah is busy making comments and statements trying to get people to help her find her mom. Right. Meanwhile, the sheriff is busy walking back stuff that he said about the investigation that he shouldn't have said in the first place. Right. If it was going to be a family member, go through all of them, see what evidence you can get, and then arrest them. We don't need to know all of
these folks are not sophisticated. Very few people are sophisticated as the police because, as I said this early on, I think I haven't said it in a while, but, I'm not smarter than the average criminal. I'm not. Many of these people are very intelligent people. And mind you, they're doing everything in their power to try and get away with the crime that they committed. What makes me smarter than the average criminal is that I'm not working these cases alone. I got a team of average people helping me solve my case, which means that when you put all of our brain power together, we're like a supercomputer. You're trying to thwart us on your own, but there's a team of us, dumb cops, like Voltron. We come together and we become Voltron, trying to catch you. So if the family, Tommaso and Annie, came together to try and do this machination of a crime to disappear their mother, kill their mother for whatever, who knows? With all these different law enforcement people, all these resources, all this technology, all these tests, we would have found out that they had a connection. We'd have found that droplet of blood inside of the car that Tommaso was driving. We'd have found that internet search on their phone of how to get away with a crime. we'd have found all of those things. We did not find any of those things. Why? Because it didn't happen. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go out on a limb, and I'm going to pull a Ashleigh Banfield right now. I didn't learn no lessons from Ashleigh. I'm going to pull a Ashleigh Banfield. I'm going to go 10 toes down. My sources say. And my source is the Prima County Sheriff's Office. I'm going to believe Thanos in one thing that he said, and I'm going to say Tommaso and Annie had nothing to do with the disappearance of Nancy Guthrie. By all accounts, Tommaso and Annie loved their mother. I dare say this might slightly hit, and there's levels to this, and I apologize to Savannah Guthrie, but this might slightly hit Annie and Tommaso even more than Savannah. Why? Savannah's the big star that lives in the Hollywood Hills with her kids and her super rich husband. It's Annie and Tommaso that stayed with the mother day in and day out. It's Annie and Tommaso who was spending time with the mother, playing cards with her, keeping her entertained, keeping her company day in and day out. Now, don't get me wrong, Savannah loved her mother, I'm pretty sure. But it was Annie and Tommaso who was the day-to-day company of their mother. Same thing in my family. I love my mother to death, man. But I live almost 100 miles away from my mother. My oldest sister is the one that is interacting with my mother on a daily basis. So she spends more time with my mother than I do. I bought my mom a cell phone because her phone is not working. I've had that cell phone in my work bag for the last 2 weeks. I haven't had time to stop at my mother's house to give her her cell phone because I'm so busy. It's just a cell phone, a whole iPhone is sitting in my bag, melting in my bag. A hole in my pocket, because you guys know them things ain't cheap. And I still haven't had time. I would love to give my mother this phone so she could stop pocket dialing me. You know how y'all old people be doing. I'm going to be doing it too when I get old. Y'all pocket dial people all day long. I don't think it's the phone. I think it's you guys. 2 in the morning, 10 o'clock in the night, 3 in the afternoon. Mom's calling. All I hear is, can I get a double cheeseburger with extra fries? I'm like, Ma, hello? Hello, Ma? What size you got in there? You got an extra small in there? Hello, Ma? Hello? Then I hang up and call her like, hey, Ma, what's going on? She's like, what? What's up? You good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. I was like, yo, you called me. Oh, man, I didn't mean to call you. My mother got that Jamaican accent. You know, man, I didn't mean to call you, man. I'm sorry. Pocket dial, I butt dial you, man. I dial you with my booty. You need to control that booty, man. You keep calling me. Anyway, so I know this hits hard for Annie and Tommaso because Ashleigh said that. Nobody was saying that before Ashleigh said it. Nobody said it. Ashleigh said it to 2.3 million people. Her video got 2.3 million views. I need some of that so I can pay. My daughter about to go to college, man. I need to get a college fund. Well, I've been had one, but I need more money in there. Give me a 2.3 million view. I won't spend that on nothing. I just give that straight to the college fund. Straight to the. She got 2.3 million views. She told half the country. Not literally. That Tommaso was the prime suspect. Think about that. You mourning the fact that, your mother's gone. And the YouTubers are saying that you're the one who did it. Come on, man. Maybe I got too much empathy. Let's keep going.
That's the way it works. Like the next thing you know, you see them parading somebody through, a perp walk.
I mean, I for that reason, why in the ever-loving God would they keep Annie's car for 42 some odd days?
You know what? I have to disagree with you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is when the FBI takes something, it takes a long time to get it back, and you have to be.
But the FBI didn't take it.
Oh.
It was the sheriff that took it.
But
hold on here. They about to fight. Here, what's happening here?
A perp walk.
I mean, I for that reason, why in the ever-loving God would they keep Annie's car for 42 some odd days.
Yeah, see, that's some rookie stuff because once we take your stuff, we're not in a rush to give it back. We've been stopped testing it, but we're not giving that thing back. We holding it just in case. Just because remember, once we give it back, whatever we thought was there is destroyed now. Look, if you take my car and I get it back, the first thing I'm gonna do is take it to get detailed. People been in my car. I feel dirty. I feel like my car has been desiccated or whatever. I'm taking it to get a detail. That means whatever evidence might still be in there is gone now. So we're not in a rush to give you your property back because we don't know if we might need to get back into it. And once we have it in our custody, we could keep going back into it as we see fit. We don't have to get a new search warrant. Once it's ours, we can test it as much as we want to test it. Once we give it back to you, we now have to get a new search warrant to go back and get something we already had. You know what the judge is going to say? Go F yourself. He's going to say, go yourself. You mean to tell me you had that car for 2 weeks, you gave it back, now you want me to take that person's Fourth Amendment right to get away from them yet again, to give you the car back again? What kind of police work you guys doing? Nope, I don't feel probable cause is here to give you that car a second time. You got to be very compelling to convince that judge to give you that car a second time. So of course they're going to keep it. They're like, yo, these people are rich. We ain't giving it back to them. We're going to hold on to this car. So I don't agree with what she's saying right now. So let's see what this lady has to say.
You know what? I have to disagree with you. I'm sorry to interrupt, but this is when the FBI takes something, it takes a long time to get it back. And you have to be.
But the FBI didn't take it. It was the sheriff that took it.
But they sent pieces.
You got 10 days. You got 10 days until you got to make extension after extension after extension when you get those warrants.
But you have
and so you got to have a reason.
They sent pieces of the car to the lab. So, we have a car that's been taken apart. Okay, when you take a car apart, it's going to take a while to put it back together.
And you don't have no 10 days. What's she talking about? You have 10 days to execute the warrant. When you take stuff like cars and stuff like that, they don't give you 10 days. You have 10 days to execute a warrant. Like if you go into a search warrant, you want to search somebody's house, you can't hold their house that long. So you have 10 days to execute that warrant. But like she said, for cars and stuff like that, you have to take those things apart sometimes. Sometimes you can't swab. You have to take a whole panel off. It depends. If there's like a car accident, you trying to reconstruct an accident, get fibers out of the paint, you got to take that whole bumper off and send it to the lab. So they're not going to give you 10 days. 10 days to execute the average search warrant, to actually execute the warrant, not 10 days to test, 10 days to execute the warrant, right? So they have the car, they got their warrant. They don't have 10 days to do their business and then give the car back. It doesn't work that way. Let's keep going.
Unless, I think Annie and Tommaso and Savannah, they all had other things to do. They all have there's a lot of cars there. We saw them all driving different cars. There were plenty of cars.
I get all that. I get that. But this one is under the microscope and it's causing consternation because lots of media were calling regularly and the same answers kept coming. It's part of the investigation. And then the next one was, we're in the process of releasing it. And the next week, we're in the process of releasing it. And then the next week, oh, I'll have to get back to you. Those are the kinds of things, once again, if your true mission was to clear this family, for God's sake, why would you allow that to continue?
Well, maybe he was just trying to support his thesis that he had announced to the whole world. Every aspect of this investigation was broadcast. It makes me shocked.
Right.
I wasn't brown for the shooting.
Yo, she throwing shade. I think there's more shade coming. Let's go.
Broadcast. It makes me shocked. I wasn't brown for the shooting. The shooting that happened in Brown and also happened at University of Massachusetts. We got very little information. We weren't even allowed to near the door, where he had entered to shoot. We got to the door eventually. Because we are reporters. But, it was just, clamped down. And then when everything started to happen, we got to know. And everybody started going to the places that they needed to know. And there were press conferences that were very much on point. They gave away very little, but they did answer some questions. So, there was a little bit of hostility even at the Brown one towards the media. I just don't understand. Certainly here in Los Angeles or in New York, they ask for the public's help. And asking for the public's help is like saying, media, get that stuff out there. This sheriff, vindictive, insecure, in terms of how he's treated his staff, at least according to the people that I spoke with at length over the 3 weeks I was there, and disorganized.
By the way, some of those staff, not to interrupt, but just because I'm on that train, some of those staff complained that the sheriff, the tools that he used in order to come to the decision to announce publicly that the family is all cleared were polygraph tests and voluntary, voluntary turning over of their devices, which to me is a bit weird because in my line of work, that's not enough to clear somebody. It's not enough for a court of law, for starters. And anybody who gives you something voluntarily, a device voluntarily, it's not going to be a device that's used. So it's a.
What's she talking about? I don't agree with what she's saying. Well, what is your line of work? I'm just curious. No disrespect, no shame, but like, what are you talking about? Like, if somebody give me their phone, I'm gonna have the data. Like, I can see if the phone was wiped. I can see if the phone was used prior, during, or after the incident. I could tell if you've given me a Walmart phone that you just bought off the shelf and you want to say, hey, you want to see my phone? Here's my phone. I didn't do nothing illegal. If we see his phone showing us telemetry that it's inside of his residence, then we see him get in his car, and then we see his phone and her phone, Nancy Guthrie's phone, pinging together in the ride back to Nancy's house. Then we see her phone ping and her at her residence. And we see his phone pinging and driving back to his residence. And then we see, movement of the phone for the rest of the night. We don't see the phone, you know what I'm saying? Like, we don't see the phone move after that, after a certain period, because they're sleeping. And then we go into the black box of his car, and we saw his car turned on this amount of time. It drove at this speed limit. It braked this amount of time. If he has a car that has GPS in it, we see clearly that the GPS is showing that it went to her house, to Nancy's house. Then the car did not move during the incident. That's very valuable information, right? We don't even know if they have video surveillance at, the sister's house. I'm not even gonna go there because I don't know or not. But that's very valuable information just off of the phone, right? And then if they take a polygraph and they pass with flying colors, I think that is very probative. But she's still trying to dumb it down because she's still trying to justify the fact that Tommaso is still possibly low-key, low-shade, a subject. And to me, that's irresponsible. What are you doing, Ashleigh? I really like you. You have to stop this. If there's no evidence that Tommaso is a suspect, you have to stop. We got to channel some OJ. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit, all right? If the tomato ain't tomatoing, you need to stop it. All right, that was mad corny, but I tried. Anyway, listen, the bottom line is this is not cool, Ashleigh. It's really not. It's not. You gotta know when to just stop. It's just my opinion here. I apologize, but this is my opinion.
Adorable, but it seemed weird to the sources that I was talking to, and some of them were quite angry. Some of the folks in the FBI were very frustrated that the sheriff came out and cleared the family, and they were not prepared to do the same thing at that early stage, especially using the tools that were reported to me from my source that they said they used, just polygraphs and voluntary.
And I don't listen. Let me tell you something, man. I don't really believe all this FBI stuff because we're getting sources from Thanos. But like, we're not getting anything from the FBI but these mystery sources. I'm going to tell you another thing, and I'm going to go on a limb here. The FBI is not more qualified than your average experienced detective. I'm going to be honest with you about this. Let's have a real talk moment. People have, romanticized the FBI. The FBI, the average FBI agent, they mostly deal with financial crimes. You want to know who are better investigators than FBI in this juncture? HSI has better investigators than the FBI. HSI, Homeland Security Investigations, have better investigators than FBI because all of the really dangerous stuff, HSI has pretty much taken over, like trafficking and criminal organizations, drug cartels and stuff. HSI took that over. FBI is mostly financial stuff. Your average Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, St. Louis, Louisiana, New Orleans, TBI, homicide, X-crimes detective has way more experience than your average FBI agent. Now, when it comes to financial crimes, they will dance over anybody else in this country, except for maybe New York detectives because they got all those big corporations and they do their financial stuff. But even them, they'll dance over them too, because most of those are handled by the FBI. But when it comes to missing people, murdered people, homicides, grape, because guess what? There are no grape statues in the federal government. Grape is a state crime. The FBI can't do nothing more than what those local detectives in these major cities who see these crimes day in, day out can do. What the FBI has is resources. They have resources that maybe some of these detectives don't. And when you look at big cities like Chicago, Los Angeles, New York, Miami, they got the same resources too. Those big cities with all that money, they got the same resources. So, I don't know. I'm just not convinced that, the FBI, they didn't clear them. Oh, well, guess what? They're not the lead agency, so it's not up to them to clear them. The lead agency is run by Thanos, who's doing a heck of a job, right? And so it is his job to decide who's cleared and who's not. The FBI is simply acting in a support role. This case is a Pima County Sheriff case, for better or for worse. Let's keep going.
Devices.
Well, I don't think the FBI wants to clear anybody till they solve the crime. I think that's normal criminal procedure.
I agree too.
I've never heard somebody saying we've cleared this person or cleared that person. I mean, with the Riley Strain thing, none of those people were cleared. Mm-hmm. The family. I mean, and not that they were there at the time. Yeah. I guess maybe that's a bad example, but I'm just thinking back to some of the different things. Even the guy, even people that actually did it, they just don't clear people. It's just not part of an investigative process. I'm sure Savannah said, stop saying that. I'm sure that the family gave major pushback. We're not going to cooperate with you anymore if you keep attacking my family members. So that's kind of where my brain went when I saw that weird clearing of people at the beginning of an investigation. I will say this on the record, I don't believe that those two were involved, but I do believe that that's not something you share with the media.
Right.
Yeah, and the other thing is
that's shade for her, and she doesn't address it. She says, I don't think they're involved, but it's not something you share with the media, and she's sharing it to the world. So I don't know. I think it's shade on her and it's shade on Thanos. Anyway, I got to go to work, guys. I would like to play the rest of this out, but unfortunately, I got to go to work. I got to do my thing. So I got to get dressed. And then there's some little chores I have to do around the house. Otherwise, wifey's going to get mad at me. And she loves to get mad at me. Anyway, I see you guys on the next one. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much for joining me. Please hit that like button. We had a really huge crowd today. I think we had a good time. I hope you guys had a good time. Make sure you hit that like button on your way out the door. We have 862 likes and over 900 people watching. So please, for the rest of you guys who are watching, if you haven't subscribed, subscribe now. Hit that subscription button. And if you haven't hit that like button, hit that subscription and that like button right now. I appreciate you guys immensely. Once again, no shade to Ashleigh Banfield. We're a reaction show. We react to things, and sometimes we're going to agree with you, and sometimes we're not. You're a much bigger channel. You surely know how to YouTube much better than me. So don't get mad at the little guy, all right? We appreciate you immensely. We appreciate all the content that we reacted to today. Please go subscribe to Ashleigh Banfield, subscribe to Nancy Grace, and subscribe to Brian Entin. We'll see you guys on the next one. Strategic is out of here. Peace, ladies and gentlemen.